My name is Mat Milinkovich. I am the drummer for the Dames and Reflectivore, and I have played in tons of other bands over the years. Horse and Rider, Farewell Tour, Words to a Filmscore. I've done lots of like sit-in studio type stuff as well. I think I've always been more naturally driven to the kind of the heavier stuff. Yeah. It's just the physical release of it I've always enjoyed, and like the athleticism of it has always been something I've liked. I've always liked pushing myself. Yeah. And I feel like I get more of that playing aggressive and complex music. I played in Portrait of a Drowned Man too. Oh well, man, I feel bad. I just hung out all last night, and I forgot to mention that band.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's hard when there's so many of them and you get so old. I'm from Superior.
Okay.
We moved to Minneapolis for a couple years in like 2000, 2001.
Okay.
We were there for September 11th.
Oh man. Yeah.
So yeah, we moved down there playing for a little bit, but then we came back.
Okay.
It wasn't our thing down there.
Just like the city life,
it's too much, man. We worked and practiced in a shithole that we paid a lot of money for, and that's when we were kind of starting to do a lot of touring, and then we just
with the Dames.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we with all the touring and the kind of the shows we were getting, we had like some booking, and just the pressures that came along with it. We just kind of stopped getting along. We didn't tour with Mastodon, but we played with those guys in the Entry.
Oh, okay.
It was I think it's hanging around here. Just one of like the Entry, like the Door Time flyers. Yeah, we played with Mastodon. We played with like High on Fire. We played with Queens of the Stone Age in the Entry.
Wow.
That show was crazy. Those guys were nuts.
Wow. Well, when was that?
When?
Yeah.
It was right after their very first album came out.
Okay.
So, I think like the day before the show, Rolling Stone put out a piece about how they're like a new up and coming band to watch. Yeah. And we played with them the next night.
Wow.
They were awesome.
That's awesome.
And I've never seen a band drink and do more drugs.
Oh, really?
One evening. Yeah, it was insane. That might have been their first album too. I mean, because they were playing. We played with them in the Entry.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the capacity of the Entry, I think it's like 150 or 200, maybe 250 people.
Yeah. Max.
I don't even know if that show was sold out.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was crazy. Those guys are so good.
Yeah.
And it was crazy too, playing with them at the Entry, and then I saw them like 10, 15 years later with Death Clock at the XL Energy Center.
Oh really?
It's like, fuck, we played with those guys. And I'm still doing the same shitty thing for a job that I was doing, and these guys are playing in arenas. It's tough to speak about what's going on now because just having gotten older, I'm not as huge of a part of it as I used to be, or as I would want to be, just because life gets in the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really the same thing. It's in just different spots. Yeah. But the difference between here and Minneapolis, it really is the same. I'd say Duluth definitely tends to prefer music that's a little on the mellower side.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because we've interjected ourselves in the part of the Minneapolis scene that's a little more rockin'. But I feel like Minneapolis has always been a little more open and welcoming to rock music than Duluth has.
For sure.
Duluth has always had its spots, but the fan base hasn't always been as strong.
Yeah.
I feel like it used to be a little bit stronger than it is now, but that could just be my age.
Yeah.
And not getting into the right places now. I don't know. It's tough. I just feel like it's going through. It's going through kind of a weird phase right now. Just with there's nowhere to play. A lot of the heavier bands a lot of the rock and roll seem to kind of diminish a little bit, or move definitely more into the underground, like basement show scene.
Yeah.
Just because there's nowhere to play anymore. You've got to be creative. It reminds me of my high school days, sort of, where if you want to do like heavier shows, you just got to DIY it. Yeah, I mean, those shows can be some of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, you have people there that aren't there to be seen. They're not there to get wasted or
Yes. True, yeah.
You know, they're there to see music. It's the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
The music is almost secondary.
Yeah, it's almost like a background thing and something that you just bob your head to while you're hanging out with your friends. Seems like, whereas, like when we play some house shows in front of some 18-year-old kids, you know, these kids are hearing this type of shit that, like, the first time they ever heard this type of music before. And you could tell you're blowing their fucking mind when you're playing it. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's a good feeling.
It absolutely is. And they're there to see you do what you're doing. I mean, yeah, if you're playing a show at Luce, people are hopefully coming to see you, but they're also going because they can get some drinks and maybe order some appetizers and hang out with their friends and unwind. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you can become a secondary part of the evening when you shouldn't be the secondary part of the evening.
Yeah.
I went to see like Huey Lewis at the Deck when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then from Huey Lewis, my uncle's a drummer. My uncle's a very excellent drummer, and he was really big into all the hair metal in the 80s.
Yeah.
So from listening to my dad's Huey Lewis and the News records and Beatles records, kind of morphed into like Warrant and Motley Crue and all that stuff.
Yeah.
My first distinct where I was like, wow, music is this amazing thing, where I really, like, I knew it was what I wanted to do, and where, like, the imagery and everything about what was happening really got me excited. I was with my aunt. She's babysitting me, and we were at Target, and that's when Target sold vinyl and they sold cassettes.
Oh, yeah.
And Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil, was like right at eye level, and the album, you know, it was a big black album that just had that glossy pentagram on the cover of it. I was like, oh, I know I'm not supposed to listen to this stuff. I want it. My aunt bought it for me. Because she was, you know, back then she's, you know, 18, 19 years old probably. She didn't care.
Yeah.
So that was the first album I was totally just obsessed with.
So was it new at the time? Or?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was brand new. I mean, you're looking at 84, so I was 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was the first album I ever owned, followed by Stay Hungry on cassette. Twisted Sister. My uncle definitely did. My dad's a guitar player, but I don't remember him ever really like pushing music on me. I just kind of took to it naturally, and I don't know why I picked drums, especially with a guitar player in the house.
Yeah.
And I started by like tipping up my parents' garbage cans and taking pots and pans and stuff from the kitchen and just destroying them.
Just driving them nuts?
Yes, driving my parents insane and costing them an immense amount of money because they were replacing all their buckets and garbage cans and cookware on a regular basis because just ruining everything. The band Both from way back in the 90s, 2000s, when were they around?
I've heard good things about them. Like,
those guys were great. So those guys from Puddle Wonderful, who were a huge influence to us coming up, they were like the first band that I remember.
Puddle Wonderful?
Yes, with Greg Conley.
Oh, okay.
And Aaron Ashley ended up being in Bon Appetit and Super Tax and stuff. They were the first band I remember just like they were rock stars to us when we were in high school because they were the first band that would play original music and they would play around the state and like they'd play shows and it would be packed.
Yeah.
So we always looked up to them and we got to be friends with those guys and got to play with them a little bit at the crappy coffee shop around here back then.
Yeah.
La Petite. And we just got to be friends with those guys and they broke up and formed the band Both, which had a lot of the pop and alternative sensibilities, but they got a little crazier and stranger.
Yeah.
And those guys were always great, awesome musicians, nice guys, and they're always fun shows. The Dame's first show back is a pretty big one because I wasn't sure if people would give a shit. Honestly, I didn't know.
At Luce?
At Luce.
Yeah.
And it was just a surreal experience because it was something that I had been into for a long time and Rusty had been into for a long time, but Tony would always brush off any suggestion of doing it. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't think it was ever going to happen. So that one was pretty memorable, just to know that people cared. And that I don't think we really missed a step. We weren't like sad old farts up there trying to relive our glory days. I think we still pull it off. Yeah. And then we did a string of shows back in the day with Hank 3, and those were always pretty memorable because he's a really cool dude.
Oh yeah.
And he, my most memorable show that we didn't play was at the North Shore. We had done, I think it was 3 shows in a row with Hank 3, and he was supposed to play in Duluth, and he did play in Duluth. He played at the North Shore, and he wanted us on the bill. And Rick Boo told him that we could absolutely not play on that show because we would scare everybody away. So he told Hank Williams III that we couldn't play with him, even though he wanted us on the bill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty great. It's completely selfish.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, we've talked a lot about this with getting older. Playing shows has become more difficult. You're finding childcare, or you're taking time off from work. So playing shows has become more difficult. And in that happening in my life, I've realized, like, I still like playing shows. I still like going to shows. But if I just made music in my basement with my friends for the rest of my life, I would be totally cool with that too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to go out and play in front of people, but it's not necessary for me anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I've always, I don't know, like I started playing drums when I was 4 years old. So, like, it was just always something that I felt like I had to do. There's kind of relief in getting older and continuing to do this stuff, because I don't feel and we don't feel the pressure to, like, get out there and tour. We don't need to have a booking agent. We don't need to network constantly. Like, no one's signing bands in their 40s anymore. Like, I'm not going to be suddenly getting a deal and quitting my job and touring full time.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's absolutely selfish. I'm doing this because it's fun, and I enjoy creating something and making music with my friends. Mm-hmm. And I love the physical release of doing it. It's something I do when I'm pissed off. It's something I do when I'm, like, happy.
Yeah.
Like, it can pull me out of a funk if I'm having a really shitty day.
Yeah.
So I do it for me. And as long as it's fun, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And if no one else cares, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Stevenson from The Descendants, they put out a documentary a few years ago. Those guys are one of the biggest, like, punk rock bands in the world. If it wasn't for them, there would be no Blink-182, which might be a good thing if there was no Blink-182. But I mean, they created pop punk. They're like one of the godfathers of punk rock. And in this interview, he said, he's like, who cares if 20 people like your band? There's still 20 people that like your band. You don't have to have 200,000 followers on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And that totally struck a chord with me. Like, you don't have to be huge to be good. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of times the more popular the band, the more likely they are to be shitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, maybe not, and that's the thing, like, for me, you can be a tremendous musician and still be a fucking terrible musician. Mm-hmm. But just because you're proficient at your instrument doesn't mean you play with any emotion, and it doesn't mean you're not just playing stuff to cater to the largest audience possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of really good players who, at least from my observation, just seem to be doing what they're doing because they know it'll net them the biggest response, and that's just never been my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've purposefully blown Dame shows before that we knew were going to be huge shows.
Yeah.
Because we just thought it was lame. we got asked to do the very first Duluth Does Dylan CD.
Oh, really?
And none of us liked Bob Dylan. So we begrudgingly picked a song. We did All Along the Watchtower, and we just did the Jimi Hendrix version of it. But there was a big party bus down at the Turf Club, and this show had been sold out for a couple weeks because there's, in Minnesota, there's Dylan fans everywhere. So people were going to see these bands cover Dylan, and it was all shared gear, and you'd get a 20-minute set, and you had to play your Dylan song. So what we decided to do was play our most aggressive, the most aggressive set possible, with as little singing as possible, and it was lots of noise and feedback. We probably played 4 songs in 20 minutes that were 3.5 minutes long a piece, because it was just walled in with mass amounts of noise, and then we didn't play our Bob Dylan song. Anyone who says they don't have any sort of ego or whatever when they're playing music, they're fucking lying. You have to. Yeah. You have to be a kind of arrogant to some extent just to be willing to put it out there for other people to hear.
You have to have some balls to fucking...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely you do.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten our share of shitty reviews. There was some Lost Cause, I think it was called, reviewed the Second Dames album, and they said that we sounded like Alice in Chains. And it was brutal. It was a fucking brutal review.
But Alice in Chains? Like in a bad way, or?
Oh yeah, it was a total insult.
Oh, okay.
It was a total insult back then. But you know what? Fuck those guys. I don't care. If people don't like us, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
It's a very freeing feeling. 'Cause I remember always being, especially back then when we were trying to fucking do whatever we were trying to do, like being really concerned about what other people would think.
Yeah.
Like we played a show with Crowbar. We have a lot of songs that have some melody to them, and we were like catering our set to like, we're playing with Crowbar, so we can't play anything with singing in it tonight. We gotta play just the heaviest set possible. And there was always pressure to do that kind of stuff. We just dropped songs because they just didn't no longer fit into what other people wanted to hear from us.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't fucking care. I'll play a damn set with brushes, and if people don't like it, they can get lost.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're getting compliments from people that know enough about music to be extremely critical of it. You know, I'll take compliments from anyone. If some drunk dude wants to come up to a show or come up to me after a show, like, you guys were awesome. Cool, I'll take that. But do I value that guy's opinion as much as I value your opinion? Or someone that, like, knows what we're doing up there? No, no.
Yeah.
No. Like, you know when there's any good musician can tell when there's a mistake. Any good musician can point out the weakest link in any band. I love the Jesus Lizard and like Hammerhead and old 90s like noise rock. Jawbox, I just saw those guys last night. They're fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I'm all over the board. It really depends on the day. Yeah.
Keep your distance,